today. Just a reminder, please use the raise hand button if you have any questions for Coach. Everyone should have recording access, so we should be good to get started. Coach, if you don't mind hitting the unmute button on your screen, and then we should be all good. Cool. All right, guys, just a reminder, use the raise hand button if you have questions for Coach. We should be able to get started here. Coach, you want to start us off?
Yeah. Hey, just to give everyone an update, appreciate you guys accommodating this time. I know you guys traveled back, so thank you for that. Christian McCaffrey looks like a strained hamstring. Looks like a few weeks. They're still doing a bunch of diagnostic testing, so I can't tell you if that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know exactly where that'll be. Obviously, Christian will decide the best course of action for him. We'll get him back as soon as possible. I can't rule in or rule out IR at this time. I should hopefully know more in the next couple of days, but it looks like it's just a few weeks for Christian. Juston Burris pulled his groin. They're doing diagnostic on him right now, so I don't have a great feel for where that is in terms of the length of it. Can't rule out or in IR on Juston. And then finally, Jaycee Horn looks like he broke 3 bones in his foot. I think he's going through the process of deciding, him and his family and them deciding what the best course of action is. Looks like that'll be sometime. I can't tell you if that's season ending or not. I think we'll just have to go through the process, see where he's at as he goes through his rehab. So that's a brief injury report, and I'll see what questions you guys have.
All right, let's go to David Newton for the first question.
Hey, Matt, I wanted to ask you, when you lost Christian last year, you guys bounced back and won 3 games. Do you feel, though, that this team is better prepared to handle that type of loss than they were a year ago, and why?
Christian's a great player. He's a great teammate. So obviously he makes all of us better. That being said, I think, we've tried to build a team. I talked to Cam Irving before. I guess Cam made a statement last night, hey, we're not the Carolina Christian McCaffrey, and he wanted that. I told him, I said, don't worry about that statement. I know Christian McCaffrey. That's all Christian wants, man. Christian wants it to be not just about him, but be about everybody else. Christian's the ultimate leader and teammate. And so we'll miss him on the field, but we'll certainly miss him off the field. But he'll be back soon. I think the biggest thing is that we're trying to play complementary football. We're trying to run the ball. We're trying to pass the ball. We're trying to throw it to everybody we can. We're trying to play defense. We're trying to play special teams. And so, I've wanted to be a part of, just as the head coach, a team that can function on all cylinders, that's just not one-sided. And so to play great defense, sometimes you have to punt the ball down, let them start inside the 5. To play great offense, sometimes you have to go for it on 4th down. So we're just trying to be that type of team. So losing Christian is hard. I think we saw signs of Chuba in the second half once he knew, hey, it's my chance. I think you saw him and Royce make some plays, and I think you saw Sam put some stuff on his shoulders. So I would expect our guys to come out. That's just what it is. It's the way this league goes. I saw the Vikings did Dalvin Cook's questionable for Sunday. I mean, that's being a running back in the NFL. So, but I want to make sure I said that. Christian is the best team, one of the best teammates I've ever been around. He doesn't want this to be his team, and I think I want our guys, all of them. Hey, everyone does their job. Cam does his job. Shaq does his job, and then if we don't have Christian, those guys all have to just overcome it.
It just seemed last year was rather fragile, even though you won a few games, it just wasn't sustainable. That's what I'm curious. Do you feel like with the depth, offense, defense, everything around across the board, that this team is better prepared to move forward and win games?
We're a better team than last year. There's no doubt about that. So I would hope that we would do that, and that's what we have to do. I mean, we have to go play without Christian. You know what I mean, for right now. And, we'll play this next game and someone else will get banged up and we have to be ready for them. So, our only focus will be on going 1-0 next week against Dallas and trying to improve. There's a lot of things we can improve upon. So, yeah, I mean, we have that, we have to do it. I mean, we've only played, there's 14 games left. That's mind blowing. 14 games left. So we have to find a way to win. Each week someone else will be in the lineup or out of the lineup. But I think we're a better team than last year. So I'd expect us to play better.
Let's go to Joe Person next.
Hey, Matt, I've got a couple. Last year, after his third injury, or after his second injury, rather, Christian, as you know, did the quad while he was sort of working out or rehabbing on his own. What sort of conversations will you have with him about making sure he doesn't overdo it and kind of still being under y'all's kind of training?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a really nice job this year of working with Kevin and Kent and Jeremy. So I think we'll have a really good plan for him. Again, I still don't have a great feel, Joe, of what the severity of it is. I mean, they've given me a time frame, but they're still doing a bunch of different things just to make sure. And same thing with Juston Burris to make sure. So I think Christian will. I think he will do exactly what needs to be done, and get. I know he wants to get back out there. He'll be out there as soon as possible.
And then, any more thoughts? You were asked this last night about what the short week and also perhaps their artificial turf may have contributed to these injuries.
I don't know that. That injury to Jaycee is like such a freakish injury, and for it not to be one bone to be three bones. But I would hate to say, hey, I think it's this, because I'm just not qualified, but obviously it's a really, really freakish injury.
Let's go to Jonathan Alexander.
Hey, Matt. Robby Anderson, him and Sam Darnold hadn't seemed to connect in these first few games. And I'm wondering, do you think that's some more of teams focusing on him in particular in coverage, or maybe just not as many opportunities out there? What have you seen in particular from that? And what's
we have to get Robby going as an offense. Against the Saints, we kind of had a couple deep shots to him we didn't quite connect on. If you watch the tape last night, he's open quite a bit, and the ball's not getting to him. And so, and the ball's being spread around to a lot of different people. So I think as a coaching staff, we have to emphasize it. I mean, he's too good of a player to not be affecting the game. And it's not like he's not open. So whether that's, us designing a couple other things, whether that's just him really working on being where Sam knows he's going to be, whatever those things are, I don't know those answers, because I'm going in every week saying, hey, let's make sure we get Robby really involved, because I want us to be this five-headed monster, that people can't, you take away him, this guy's there, you take away him, this guy's there. And it hasn't quite clicked yet. I do believe it will come. I think Robby's been such a good teammate about it. I mean, I talked, last week he was like, hey, it'll come. But he has to be frustrated because he's such a good player, such a good teammate. He's not really getting involved. The ultimate goal is winning, but I think having everyone involved will help us win. So that'll be a real point of emphasis for us this week, is getting that timing / chemistry there, and B, making sure we have him involved enough in the plan where he is making plays to affect the game.
All right, let's go to Darren Gant, followed by Steven Toronto.
Matt, with the way Jaycee's played, I mean, obviously it's going to complicate the way you play defense. Are you pretty sure that AJ Bouye is going to be able to play this week and moving forward? And how vital is it to have that kind of veteran presence when you've got this kind of
I'm
loss?
expecting AJ to play next week. AJ is a true pro. He was ready to go this past week. We made the decision to keep him down and get him another couple weeks, another couple days, couple practices before we play him next week. So I would expect AJ to play this coming week versus the Cowboys.
And does it change what you want to do defensively, taking a player of Jaycee's caliber out of the mix?
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on what we're going to do schematically yet. I just sat down, I finished watching the tape, and I'm going to get started on the Cowboys now. So, but AJ is AJ Bouye is a Pro Bowler. I mean, he's a special player too. And so you always hate losing players, but not just from on the field perspective, man. Like, it breaks your heart to see how hard some of these guys work and then they get banged up. So, but the rest of the guys, they're NFL players. They're here for a reason. Many of them are in a certain role only because they haven't gotten a chance at the next role yet. So, when everyone says next man up, really at the end of the day, it just means that, hey, your opportunity is ready. So I expect our guys to go out and play well.
Sorry, I cut in a little early there. I apologize. Coach, I wanted to ask you about Tommy Tremble's performance last night. So Tommy came from Notre Dame, which is a really long history of producing NFL tight ends. What do you think it is about that program that prepares players at that position so well for the league? And how do you see Tommy embody some of those qualities?
I'm probably not able to comment on, the history of Notre Dame tight ends, just not knowing enough. You know what I mean? Like, I just know this Brian Kelly is a great coach. I think if you played for Brian Kelly, like you've played for a tough coach who at the same time does things the right way. I know Brian Polian's there. We actually had Brian Polian, who's assistant coaches on that staff, who coached Tommy. We actually had him come talk to our staff because he wrote a book on Gen Z, and I've known Brian a long time. I mean, those are really good football coaches. And so, I think Tommy Tremble for me was like, when we were talking about the draft, he was like this year's Jeremy Chin, a guy who we thought could do a lot of different things. I'll tell you, after the draft, we got more phone calls from other teams, tight end coaches and special teams coordinators to our guys about Tommy. And when we got him, Stephen, I know a lot of people said like, well, he's kind of a blocker, not much of a pass catcher. And it's weird when you're evaluating people because you're not really looking at stats. You're looking at like plays on tape. And I thought he was going to be this tremendous pass catcher. And that was sort of the narrative, which was based off of statistics, which was true. But Tommy's a guy that's doing everything that he can to be good. And he's also, he's got things he's got to work on. He gave up the sack on the one play action, came across, got knocked back into the quarterback. And so that was key for me because I wanted to see how he responded to a little bit of adversity. And he came out and he hit the speed sweep and hit the seam down the sidelines, which was an unbelievable throw by Sam. So, we need Tommy to continue to develop because he's got a lot of talent. But I think a lot of it just is kind of who he is, his attention to detail and his intelligence and toughness.
I know the Fox broadcast mentioned week one that one of your favorite players to watch growing up was Mark Bavaro.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any Bavaro in Tommy Tremble by chance?
Mark Bavaro is a special guy to me now. So, Mark Bavaro to me, it was his ruggedness, his toughness, his ability to catch and drag people and his physicality and all those things. And so I think Tommy's a great, great, great young prospect. So I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him end up like Bavaro because that would be something special.
All right, let's go to Deshaun Brown next.
Here. Hey, Coach, you'd mentioned just a moment ago how tough it is seeing some of these guys go down, given how hard they have worked. Once you learned more about the severity of Jaycee's injury, what was your message to him and his response?
I saw him last night, obviously, as he was sitting there. So that was just kind of a personal, hey, my heart's here for your heart, and I hate this for you. And today it's really more like, hey, I think Jaycee Horn's a warrior. I think he's tough. I think he's everything that's right about, young people. He's everything that's right about football. And, he has to take this and let it make him better. And I know he will. Some people get broken by adversity. Some people, adversity makes them even that much better. And so it's kind of, it's unique because when I went out in the field with that turf, just being on turf and seeing his knee, I'm sitting there in my mind's racing because Jaycee doesn't lay down very often. I'm like, is it his ACL? Is it this? Is it that? So, as bad as the injury sounds, I'm glad it's not some of the other injuries I thought it could have been. And so, but yeah, I mean, just at the end of the day, my job is to be here for those guys. Let them know, hey, whatever you need, let me know. I hate this part of it. I hate seeing Troy Pride go down. Hate seeing him go down. It's not fun, obviously, for them or for anyone around them that cares about them.
Go back to Joe Person.
Matt, you said JC's injury was freakish. Could you kind of walk us through what you saw on tape? And then also same question.
So I just saw the ball was thrown underneath or scrambled or whatever it was. And so Jaycee was like carrying the seam and then turned back around and just kind of turned back around and was like flipped his hips and was kind of stopping himself and all of a sudden went down. So, non-contact, you don't see any, now I'm watching off the coach's copy, which is really high at the dome, but you don't see anything other than just sort of a non-contact injury. So, anytime it's non-contact, I always feel like that's, kind of freakish unless it's soft tissue. And then with Christian, you see him kind of, try to do like a stutter step and then hit it out of bounds and stop. So I don't know where that happened in that play. I haven't really talked to him about where exactly it happened. So
Christian wasn't at all connected to the quad from last year, was it?
This injury?
Was it the same leg? Is there any thought that it could have been related to the quad from last year?
No, you've asked me that a couple of times. I don't have a feel for that at all. Like I just know he pulled his hamstring. That's all I know. To be honest.
All right, guys, that looks like that's all the questions. Coach, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, guys.